Chris McLean from the TV show Total Drama is extremely evil. A little while back I made a video on him. The first half of this video is pointing out all of the craziest things he's done to the contestants on his show, and the second half was my theory regarding Chef, and how he's more than just a friend. In fact, he's an unofficial parole officer of sorts. In the process, I tried to pinpoint what was wrong with Chris. I suggested either sociopathy, psychosis, or psychopathy, but knocked out psychosis very quickly because it actually had very little to do with him. I also knocked out sociopathy, but now come to think of it, he developed his villainy later in life, and it was induced by the media, indicating sociopathy, as well as the fact that he does have a little bit of a conscience at times, so he's a sociopath then. Makes more sense anyways, but upon my request, you guys flooded in with more ideas to add on to all of this, and you put forth more evidence to prove things, and I've also discovered more about Chef, so today we return to continue these guys' psychological vivisection. Hello, I'm the Theorizer and Chris. In multiple episodes, thanks to some of Chef's suggestions, we find that Chris has some remorse for the contestants, albeit barely. In the last video, I discussed his love-hate relationship with his interns, but there are multiple times where Chris cares about the contestants a little bit, and not just for his own self-preservation. When Chris goes to jail for the spilling of toxic waste, he goes insane due to his lack of any ability to torment teenagers. And he doesn't just attack the contestants in general, he goes after specific individuals too, and this is seriously bad. He constantly tortures Scott, letting a shark loose on him, and he keeps messing with Ezekiel, despite Ezekiel having gone literally feral. Chris is seriously problematic to himself, but Chef's different. Anyone with an eye for the obvious can tell that Chef was a soldier or militant. Heck, Chef even talks about it constantly. He has the same love-hate relationship with the contestants that Chris has with his interns, except Chef's love-hate is less sarcastic and cruel. Kind of like how he congratulates Gwen on her training and starts crying tears of bizarre joy, or when he takes DJ under his wing in Season 2. I have an idea. Remember when he shot Izzy and said, "Oh no, not again," in a panicked way? I brought it up in either my Izzy video or my first Chris video, I don't know. It suggests that he's killed teenagers before. Yikes. And where on earth might this understandably happen? In a war. In a war that recruits older teens as soldiers. In a war in which Chef has seen brutal death, as he states in his horrific stories. Perhaps he's seen death on his side of the battle, or he's seen it on the other side, and he was forced to kill a kid in the opposing force. Or maybe he had to kill a kid that was on his side, that wanted to be put out of his misery after severe pain was endured. Horrible. It is my belief, among several others in my comment section, that Chef has some kind of post-traumatic stress, though not in the typical sense, and it certainly isn't overtly debilitating. It also makes sense then as to why he's Chris's keeper. He's a very tough army guy with a fickle soft spot from post-traumatic stress. So now I must ask, where did Chef meet Chris? Was Chef brought in by psychologists to watch over him, or did they meet at war? Chris doesn't even seem remotely like the type to go to war, though he most likely does have some relation to the military. How do I know? Because he knows one of the directors at Area 51. He told them to mess with the contestants when they flew there. This is unique because it means that the ex-militant Chef is more than just an ex-militant sent in to tame Chris. It means that everything is deeply intertwined. I'm not too sure exactly what happened to Chris when he went in jail in Season 5. All I know is that he was told he needed to be around people he loved as a sort of therapy. He intentionally misconstrued this as being around people he loved to hurt. But this was all clearly the response to a mental evaluation by prison psychologists. He could have been in jail for other reasons too, like the repercussions of his sociopathy. Notice how Chef said, "You've served your sentence for dumping toxic waste," which is odd because he felt the need to add on the toxic waste part. Chris knows why he's in there, Chef. No need to unnecessarily extend your statement. It's just the show writers explaining and reminding us why Chris is in prison, since it happened a whole season ago, but in the universe of the show, this little unusually explanative add-on makes no sense, unless there are other reasons the law wants Chris McLean. And this is just one reason of multiple. He ended up being on parole, but that seems a little odd for having dumped toxic waste. Chef is most certainly the officer to watch over him, but his parole is most likely further due to his sociopathic tendencies. In the Castaway episode, Chef actually picks Chris up and cuddles him like a baby, attempting to stimulate primitively infantile cognitive reactions in response to Chris saying maybe he should check on the campers. Chef is literally picking up and comforting Chris, rewarding his good behavior by triggering deep psychological reactions. This is shockingly interesting and only further proves my theory of Chef being a parole officer of sorts. Though while I may be able to recall these many instances from my memory, there are likely dozens more, so you guys I need the help of. Go out and find, then comment, more instances that prove my theory of Chef being Chris's caretaker. This video is more of a slight extension to part 1, but I still don't have the flooding evidence required to make any officially solid claims yet. Think of this as a brainstorming session. Don't fear, when I get more, I'll share it all, and I'll constantly be thinking about Chef's military history, along with Chris's mysterious and deep ties to Area 51. But until then, I'm the Theorizer.